Dear students, in our previous video, we looked into some fundamental expressions that govern the subsurface flow, and we specifically looked at continuity equation and recharge equation. Now, in the context of hydrology, we are specifically interested into what is going to happen at the interface in addition to what is happening at certain depth from the surface of soil. So, for example, if we have the ground here and precipitation is happening on top of this particular surface. So if we would have some water layer that is getting accumulated as a consequence of precipitation, assuming that the depth of precipitation is good enough to get accumulated here. Now once this precipitation gets accumulated here, or as the precipitation is happening, we often observe that the soil which has been presumably dry for longer period of time would have tendency to absorb this water. Now, as the soil which is in immediate contact with the water, it will have some saturation up to certain depth. So we say that this is saturation layer. And as we go down, the the degree of saturation keeps on decreasing and we reach a depth called as the wetting zone. So we will try to look into that, what these zones are. So as I said, on top we have saturation zone. Then the distance between saturation zone and wetting zone or wetting front is characterized by the transmission zone. Now, the difference between transmission zone and wetting front is typically characterized by the fact that it appears that as if there is a sudden cutoff. That means we have a smooth function in terms of the degree of saturation here, and as soon as we reach the wetting front, it observes that there is an abrupt cutoff or sort of discontinuity in the curve that we are considering here. And if this represents the moisture content, on x-axis we have moisture content, and of course here we have depth. And when we specifically talk about infiltration, we are looking into the process that how this water that has gathered here as a consequence of precipitation would penetrate into the ground surface. Now, as you can imagine, many factors would influence this infiltration rate. That would include that what is the condition of soil surface as well as vegetation cover. So if we have more and more vegetation, that may have tendency to hold the moisture together and also facilitate the process of penetration of this water into layers of soil. Also, it will depend upon antecedent moisture condition. The word antecedent means that what was the condition or state of soil just before precipitation started happening. For example, if our soil is very dry, as you would see in case of deserts, where we have dry sandy soil, and in that case, whenever precipitation starts, lot of water is absorbed by the sand surface, and after precipitation stops, sometimes it appears as if not even a drop of water has fallen into that area. So antecedent moisture conditions clearly tell us that that particular soil strata was so dry that it all the water was able to penetrate into that. On the other hand, if you go to the land which have clay soil or black soil, which is not that thirsty of water, you would see that when precipitation starts, within a few minutes or few hours, we get a situation of ponding. That would mean we would see that water is either stagnant on surface of ground, and if some slope is present, it will start flowing. And we will also try to understand how much time a particular soil strata will take for this ponding to develop. And you can imagine that this ponding would develop once the soil has quenched its thrust. For example, once it soaks enough water that it cannot take in more water at the rate at which precipitation is happening, then we are going to observe some ponding or stagnation of water on surface, and if slope is present, we begin to get the runoff. Also, it would depend upon that what is the arrangement of horizontal layers of soil within ground. For example, we may have a sandy soil which is resting on top of clayey soil. Now this sandy soil has higher porosity in comparison to clay soil. So what would happen is that water would be able to penetrate quickly into sandy soil, and as soon as it encounters another heterogeneous material which is clay in this sand, the rate of infiltration would vary greatly. Now we can clearly see that given that as the time what happens when time passes is that the moisture conditions are changing dynamically, and hence rate of infiltration is not going to be constant. So this rate of infiltration, if characterized by Ft, is going to be a function of time. Moreover, if even in a same field we could have large spatial variations. So for example, in some part we may have dominance of clay soil, in another part we may have dominance of sandy soil. So there are going to be large spatial variations in characteristics of soil, in characteristics of moisture, and all combined together they are going to impact the rate of infiltration, or the rate at which water is being taken into ground whenever precipitation or any other external form of water is present on the surface. Now this process of infiltration is very important to understand from an agricultural as well as engineering perspective, because R, or runoff, as I have mentioned time and again, that as civil engineers, estimating runoff and estimating hydrographs to inform our designs is going to be a critical concept. We also learned that to estimate R, we need to know what is precipitation, what is evaporation, what is evapotranspiration, and another very important aspect that we have to understand is that how water is getting infiltrated, or minus Q is going into the soil, as we have learned that this is the flux or discharge per unit area. So to go towards R, we need to understand all these parameters. So focus of this presentation is going to be how much water is infiltrating and at what rate. Now, we would use the terminology here. So, as we were saying, that whenever we were looking into the flow of water into subsurfaces, we always said that it is going to be in downward direction. So, our resultant Q is always going to be negative if flow is going from positive side to negative side. Now, when we are talking about word infiltration, we will slightly change the sign convention, because infiltration by default means it's a downward direction. So, we'll say that Ft in downward direction would be considered positive, but ultimately it's a measure of Q with inverted sign, so you don't have to confuse yourself. But whenever we mention infiltration with positive sign, that would mean that flow is taking place in downward direction, and small ft would represent rate of infiltration, and it would have the units of mm per hour, mm per day, or inches per hour, and so on. So it's always per unit time. If we want to calculate the cumulative volume of water that has infiltrated, we will use capital Ft, and capital Ft can easily be obtained by integrating this as a function of time over whatever time we are interested in. So let us say Ft dt, and if 0 is the starting time and tau is the ending time, we can easily calculate what is the total volume of water that has infiltrated. Now, if we are given capital Ft and we want to estimate small ft, math would be very simple. We can say that small ft is just going to be the differential of function of total infiltration with respect to time. Now, another question arises that if we want to understand that how this infiltration has to be measured, what we do is that we typically set up some experiments in the field using double ring or single ring infiltrometers. In the description right now, you would see a link that is flashing on your screen. So there is an interesting video that I have borrowed from YouTube, where in 5 minutes you would see that how an end-to-end setup is made in the field so that infiltration can be measured in field setting. But one common pattern that we observe in terms of infiltration, if we plot the variation of infiltration rate with respect to time, and assuming that soil strata is dry, that we are measuring this infiltration, assuming that there was no storm just before the current precipitation that we are adding to the field, we say that initially when precipitation just starts, the lot of water is able to enter from ground into soil. So the rate of infiltration, if I say that this is F, is very high, and as the storm continues, this decreases exponentially. And we have two benchmarks here. One is what is the initial rate of infiltration, which is going to be the highest, and after a long period of time, it asymptotically reaches a point where it stabilizes, which we say as FC, or the field capacity of infiltration. There has to be a constant because this is a curve, and if we plot it on semi-log scale, if you recall, any equation can be expressed as y equal to mx plus c. If our equation is from y equal to e to the power minus mx, if I take log on both sides, it becomes log of y minus mx. So again, we need to have a slope. In this slope of this exponentially decaying curve, slope is determined by a coefficient called as k, where k is known as the decay coefficient. This system of this decay was studied by a scientist named Horton, and he proposed the equation which looks like that at any time t we can estimate the rate of infiltration as Fc plus F naught minus Fc e raised to power minus kt. Now, while this particular equation was proposed based on experimental setting, scientists later showed that if we look into Richard's equation, which looks like del theta by del t equal to del square theta upon del z square, and if we assume this d, the diffusivity, to be constant, plus del k upon del z, so in case of Horton's equation, we can arrive at the same result by assuming that d is constant as well as k is also constant for entire soil strata. So the simplified equation looks like d into del square theta upon del z square, and if this equation is solved by some substitutions, we are going to end up with the same Horton's equation. We will not go into the details, but the reason I wanted to mention is that the Horton's equation is combination of Darcy's law as well as the conditions we observe on the field. Now, in addition to Horton's equation, there are many other methods that have been proposed. So, for example, Phillips also tried to solve the same Richards equation, but he said that instead of keeping d and k as constant, we can vary k and d in time, as well as it can vary in space. So, our model looked like Ft equal to St raised to power 1 by 2 plus Kt, and this equation is famously known as the Phillips equation. And if we look at the parameters, S is our sorptivity, K is our conductivity, and T is again going to be time. And if we have to estimate from, this is capital Ft, which represents the cumulative infiltration. If we have to estimate rate of infiltration, we can always take the derivative with respect to time, dft upon dt, and this equation becomes 1 by 2 s raised to power minus 1 by 2 plus k, and hence we can estimate rate of infiltration as we know the value of all these constants, or if we have enough data, we can also determine these coefficients, as we would see in one of the examples that we will cover in next video. Thank you.